for the Pledge of Allegiance. And please remain standing for the invocation from Pastor Margaret Sturchy of the St. John's Episcopal Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. O God, the fountain of wisdom, whose will is good and gracious and whose law is truth, be with us as we gather this evening for the Gloucester Township Council meeting. Bless David, our mayor, and grant him wisdom and grace in the exercise of his duties. We beseech you so to guide and bless our council members that their actions and decisions this night will please you and be to your glory and honor. Give them courage, wisdom, and foresight to provide for the needs of the community. Be with all those who serve the greater good in the public service of police, fire, and emergency workers. Keep them safe when they are called into dangerous situations. Teach our people to rely on your strength and to accept their responsibilities to their fellow citizens, that they may elect trustworthy leaders and make wise decisions for the well-being of our society, that we may serve you faithfully in our generation and honor your holy name. For yours is the kingdom, O Lord, and you are exalted as head above all others. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. This regular meeting of the Township Council is being held in accordance with the schedule of meetings of the Township Council established and adopted by the Township Council to schedule designated time, date, and place of this meeting. Adequate public notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act. We are using electronic amplifying and recording device in order to obtain an audible and clear record. We request all those wishing to speak be recognized to state your name and address directly into the microphone. The recording device to be solely utilized by the Township Clerk's Office shall be the official record of Township Council meetings. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison.
Present.
Mr. Schmidt. Mr. Seiler. Mrs. Trotto.
Mrs. Trotto is on vacation.
Mr. Winters. Mrs. Winters. Here. Mr. Mercado.
Present.
Mr. Bianchini.
Present.
Mr. Lechner.
Here.
Chief Earl.
Here.
Mr. Carlemere.
Here.
Mr. Cantwell.
Here.
Mr. Cardis.
Here.
We have the first public portion. Anyone wishing to speak on agenda items only, please raise your hand, come to the microphone. Seeing no hands, we close the first public portion. Proclamation.
Whereas ovarian cancer is called the silent disease because its symptoms are often vague or subtle, and a woman's lifetime risk of getting ovarian cancer is 1 in 72. And whereas at present there are no early detection tests routinely conducted for ovarian cancer, the leading cause of gynecological cancer deaths in the United States, and where each year more than 22,000 women are diagnosed with the disease and approximately 17,000 die from it. And whereas if medical research can be developed and if this deadly disease can be detected in its early stages, survival from ovarian cancer is 90 to 95%. Sadly, however, the 5-year survival rate for the disease is only 28% because it usually is not detected until later stages. And whereas the ovarian cancer awareness campaign was launched nationwide by the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance located in Washington, D.C. The month of September was designated, and as a visual aid was established by utilizing the recognized cancer ribbon logo with the ribbon color and seal. And whereas the Susan Marie Rupp Foundation set as their mission to promote public awareness of the silent deadly disease and its symptoms through their teal ribbons of hope ovarian cancer awareness campaign. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Mayor and Council of the Township of Gloucester joins the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance, the Susan Rupp Foundation, and the nation to declare the month of September as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, and adds their support of the goals of this awareness campaign.
Thank you, Rob. Bid report.
Gerard Avenue Ball Field, parking lot improvements, Cherrywood Road improvements program, phase 4.
Motion to approve bid report.
So moved. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Yes. Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Bianchini?
Yes. Ordinance of second reading. This ordinance will have a public hearing. Ordinance O-15-12. Ordinance of the Township of Gloucester, County of Camden, State of New Jersey, adopting the Villages of Gloucester Township redevelopment plan in accordance with NJSA 40A-12A, local redevelopment and housing law. As this was discussed last meeting, this ordinance will allow the adopting of the Villages of Gloucester Township redevelopment plan in, as stated here in the ordinance. Ken, would you want to give an overview of that, please?
Yes, basically the area in question is along the Black Horse Pike, from Meadows Diner south to the border with Washington Township. On the west boundary is Railroad Avenue, also Gloucester Township Fitness Trail. And on the east boundary is High Street. Basically what it will provide is an opportunity for redevelopment of the area while also maintaining the existing underlying zoning. However, if somebody chooses to use the redevelopment plan, they'll have that opportunity.
Okay, and this is a rehabilitation area.
Yes.
In which we're doing this so that the new shops over there and the outlets, I'm sorry, the premium outlets, this will allow for overflow development for other businesses that want to take advantage of that whole area.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's no condemnation, nothing of that nature in a rehabilitation area.
Great.
It specifically prohibits eminent domain.
Yeah. Thanks, Ken. We'll now have a public hearing on this ordinance. Seeing no hands, we close the public hearing. Motion to approve.
So, second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes. We now have resolutions of consent agenda for liquor license renewals. If any council person wishes to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to accept that presented. I'll second that motion.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes. We now have resolution of consent agenda. Any council person wishing to remove any of these resolutions, please let me know now.
Motion to adopt that presented. Second.
On the question, roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Dean?
Yes. So we have the walk on,
Correct.
254, Rob.
The resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Gloucester, Camden County, New Jersey, authorizing the award and signing of a certain contract for installation of Atlantic City Electric LED street lighting.
Just by way of information, this is being introduced as a walk-on mainly because I did not get it to the clerk in time for her to include it on the agenda. This is as it indicates, it's an intent to sign a contract with Atlantic Electric to install LED lighting, street lighting, in certain areas selected as a pilot to determine the efficiency of the lighting. It's awarded to Atlantic City Electric, so there's not a procurement competition. The street lighting is all installed through Atlantic City Electric as in their franchise area. I guess the intent, Tom should be able to explain, the cost savings anticipated under this pilot program with this lighting. So all it does is authorize the signing of the contract with Atlantic Electric to install the lighting, and that information is sent to the business administrator, King and Jim.
So I just want to clarify, okay, since we were unable to post this on the bulletin board here, we are not violating anything?
No, the laws in New Jersey permit add-on agenda items at any time during the course of the open public meetings. It's always been council's policy to try and post everything in advance, but I didn't get it to row in time, and Tom called me tonight, asked me if I could do it as a add-on, so we prepared it. I believe there's a time constraint. They're pretty close to their 90-day holding their contract price. So that's why we're anxious to get that approved.
So there is a time issue. There is. All right, just wanted to make sure that that's clear.
Their memo to the township indicated they will hold their price for the installment of the selected areas for the pilot street lighting for a 90 working day period.
Motion
So moved. Second.
on the question. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters? Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Beatty?
Yes. We do not have any GTE Gov access questions, so I'll open up to the public portion. The second public portion, which could be on any topic. Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Klein, 1 La Jolla in Sicklerville. Just a quick question. You just did a walk-on or walk-in or whatever you call it. Did we have an opportunity to ask questions since it wasn't
You can ask
published?
questions now if you like.
But you just voted on it.
I know. That's why I asked the counselor if we are violating any rules or any procedural rules, and he advises we were not.
Yeah, but we are allowed to ask questions what's on the agenda prior to your voting. That wasn't on the agenda, so that should be a violation. I'm not sure. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it should be, because we should have that right to ask some questions before you vote. And so I have, but what difference does it make? You've already voted. Didn't you have any questions? Like, how much are we going to save? I mean, I wanted to know that question. They presented this as a proposal. In a proposal, they should have some ideas how much we're going to save, or we wouldn't even be trying this as a project. But we weren't able to ask any questions.
I believe it was initiated by the administration, not necessarily by Atlantic Electric, to install the LED lighting. Correct me if I'm wrong, as a desire from, I guess, looking at other communities as to what the cost saving is. The statute in New Jersey on resolutions does not mandate that they have a public portion. It's been the policy of council to do that, but introducing something as a walk-on that is necessary is not a violation of the statute of the Open Public Meetings Act, so long as it's open and up for discussion by members of council publicly.
Well, sometimes it's legal, but still can be unethical. Wrong.
I don't think it's unethical. I
Well,
understand
wrong.
the principle
That we should have been asked, Glenn, and I'm sure you're nodding your head, because we should have been given the right to ask some questions prior to your vote. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, Patty, Patricia, you know that this council rarely has walk-ons, and when we do, we make sure they're posted. I did not see it posted, so I wanted to make sure procedurally we were doing the right things. When I got that assurance, I then moved it on. So I understand your question, I understand your concern, but my concern was, were we procedurally doing the right thing, and we weren't.
Well, maybe in the future, we can give the public an opportunity to ask questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
If we thought there was an opportunity to push this off to the next meeting without jeopardizing their letter of intent for the 90-day period, we would have held it off. But I know the administration's anxious to go forward and make sure there's not an issue on their pricing. We're selecting the areas. It's a pilot. So that's why we put it on for tonight.
Well, I would assume even if it's a pilot program, there was a reason why we would say yes to it, because we see a benefit. We should not do anything without seeing a benefit to the township also. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Evening, Councilman Robert Kolakowski, Lincoln Drive, Glen Oaks. What would be the 90th business day of that bid?
I'm not sure when it was actually received. The letter is dated May 28th, addressed to the municipal hall, and it indicates that these fixtures installation, besides the fixture installations, the change in the billing tariff formula will remain property of the Atlantic City Electric, and we will endeavor to complete the work within 90 days. The above stated amount will remain valid. Contract amount of $60,342.78 will remain valid for the 90 working day period.
So what would be you said that it was necessary to get this done today based on the 90-day limit. What is the 90th day?
I don't. Looking at the
Probably runs through August. Probably runs through August.
You could interpret it as being beyond August 28th because of the usage of the word working days. But somebody could also interpret it as August 28th.
As what?
Somebody could also interpret it as August 28th. I would argue that it's longer than August 28th.
So it would have to be approved by August 28th.
It seems to me, based on the wording of what I'm hearing, that the work would have to be completed within that time frame. And I don't know how long it takes. They're ready to commence work. I don't know how long it would take to complete the work. So.
Okay, because from what it was sounded like you were saying, that the bid had to be approved while the bid was, you had 90 days to approve that bid amount.
We have 90 days to complete the work.
It's not a bid. It was a proposal to meet the township's request, and they would hold their price for that 90-day period.
Mhm.
That would cost them to do the installation and the change in the billing tariff from the normal lighting to LED lighting.
Do they give an estimate for how many days it would take, or?
They're going to endeavor to complete the work within 90 working days is what their letter says.
So they have until, you're saying they have until August? Well, your interpretation, legal interpretation is they would have until the 28th, and they're saying they need 90 days, and they're going to be having a month, a little more than a month maybe. I mean, it just doesn't seem to me that this was presented in such a way that was fair and open, and I have addressed this issue before about these walk-ons, giving the residents an opportunity to at least comment on it, to let them know again, and you assured me that it would be, that you post them up there, and they're on a yellow sheet, and most of the times I've watched between, and they have been up there. Tonight it isn't, and we come up with a reason that it has to be done tonight, and it just seems that there are no concrete dates or answers at why it had to be done today or the second meeting in August. Again, it's very disappointing. Thank you.
Joanne Carr, Timber Birch. Same subject. I just feel that I understand it was going to pass. I understand it had to pass. But it's all a matter of allowing the public their chance. All you had to do was tack up a piece of yellow paper. And we had nobody bring anything up at the first open public. You could have addressed the whole thing then, and we would have sat back and everything would have been fine. It's just a matter of letting us know what's happening so that we understand it. And
I do recall it being on the work agenda, Monday's work agenda for discussion. That's why I opened, when the resolution was being introduced, I commented that it was not on the agenda because I did not get it to the clerk's office in time to put on the agenda. And that Mr. Cardis called me tonight saying that he did not see it and wanted to be assured that that was put on because it's a desire to move forward.
but that wasn't stated until after you voted
Correct.
on it.
Correct.
I mean, and all it took to make us feel better would be just a yellow piece of paper there saying there's something happening you might want to be aware of. And you can say what it is, go about your business, and it would all be handled. But just for fair play. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Pete.
Good evening, Pete Heinbaum, Morningstar Court. One piece of news just came from the Gloucester Township School Board meeting. They passed the RSRO contract that was submitted by the township to them. So I guess that'll show up as a resolution at a future council meeting. So my question, was a similar contract written up and submitted to the Black Horse Pike School District?
They've executed. We have an executed contract with Black Horse Pike.
through this upcoming school year, okay. Another question related to that, the amounts that are past due related to SRO from the Gloucester Township's Board of Education, what's the status of those?
That was not part of the initial contract.
Right.
I understand just verbally that that was discussed and it's going to be approved. I'm not sure about that. It was not part of this contract.
That was going to be approved by the school board for payment? Is that what you?
That's what I just heard verbally, so
Yeah.
until it's in writing, it could be coming from one side or the other. But the contract that was, I guess you're saying, was approved tonight does not discuss.
No, it doesn't. But my question is, what's the status of the?
We'll get back the 60,000 from, say, 13, 14.
2 years ago, right?
Yeah, and then there's another 300,000 that is over for that this year, this past year.
And I'm sorry, I got a little confused with that. So what's the status with those open amounts at 360,000?
They're both scheduled to be paid.
And we think we heard the school board verbally agreed to that.
That's my understanding.
Okay, another question, my every meeting question, is there any preliminary application or anything like that submitted for the tax abatement by the assignment properties or for the outlet malls?
I have not seen that. I believe they have been in communication with Chuck Colombo. I don't know if they filed an application, but they have inquired about it.
And procedurally, they wouldn't formally submit that application until the certificate of occupancy, is that the procedure?
That's my understanding.
It all falls around the CFO period of time.
Another question. The last meeting, it was approved to investigate, I guess is the best word, the artificial turf idea. Anything happened in the 2 weeks since that last meeting? Any bid, anything out for bid or any more?
No, they're doing, the engineer is doing their work up at this point.
Okay. At that last meeting, you mentioned there was a sort of maybe a rough one, but a cost-benefit analysis performed on the savings that can be derived from artificial turf. Can that be made public? Can we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Should I request it from Township
I don't know if
Administrator?
we have one. I think he's working on one now, am I right, Tom?
I don't recall seeing the
If we have one, we'll make it public.
Be clear though, had we requested, I don't know if we requested.
We had talked about it early on, not necessarily recent months, but I know we've had talked to it, and I talked to the mayor about looking at the difference between taking care of a wheeled grass field versus an artificial surface, so I think it's something that really the engineer can do.
I think you authorized it.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did.
Yes, you completed that stuff.
So the engineer knows our maintenance costs and our structure for maintenance costs and things like that, so he
It was
can.
part of his field study.
I believe he is working with Public Works to get costs and mowing and all that stuff, like irrigation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Patricia.
In reference to what Pete said, the AstroTurf, and you said there would probably be a cost analysis or savings. Why would we go with it if there were no savings, number one? And number two, why would we even consider something like this when professional teams are tearing theirs up? Because it's cancer-causing materials underneath, and people are getting hurt on these fields. Why would we consider doing something like that to our children?
Well, I don't know if what you say is true. I haven't seen any studies that showed these are cancer-causing materials. I'm not saying it isn't, but I haven't seen anything. We haven't been advised of that. A lot of townships, a lot of high schools have utilized these as a way of getting more use out of the area. For instance, you can have football, soccer lacrosse, field hockey, other sports all on one field, and the field doesn't break down as it does with regular grass. So we spend a lot of money, especially on the football fields, trying to maintain them in playable, safe conditions. And so looking around, talking to other townships, this is a method that they have used.
But Glenn, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, why haven't we done any research? If somebody's doing a proposal, as a council member, wouldn't you want to do some research before you said yes to something like this?
All we've given is the engineer the authorization to do the design and to do the analysis for us. They can also gather additional information. We haven't said yes to these fields at this time. We are gathering that design and that information, and then at that point we will make those decisions. So since it's been brought up, we will ask the engineer to take a look at it from the health standpoint. A lot of people are utilizing these fields, so it's not like the old style AstroTurf that we used to see at the vet, those areas where it was very dangerous. So we'll take a look at it.
Where will we get this money? Where would the money come from to do this?
As I stated last,
I wasn't here, I'm sorry.
I stated at that meeting that the money would be bonded, and that bonded money would come out, the payment of that would come out of the open public space.
Well, I'm trying to figure out what's really important, AstroTurf or sidewalks for our kids to walk on. Because I'm looking at Jarvis and going to Timber Creek, we don't have any sidewalks. That's dangerous for our children. And I'm trying to figure out what's important to you. AstroTurf? Well, then we need to go to the county and we need to start lobbying and ask the county to make some changes because our children are being endangered by walking on Jarvis Road without sidewalks. I'm sure you would not want your children walking on Jarvis Road without sidewalks. I'm trying to figure out what's really important. What are your priorities? I would hope that our children's safety would be priority number one. Thank you.
It is important to us, as you know. The safety is one of the reasons we're looking at these fields. When you have muddy and rutted fields because they're not holding up, that is also safety. No doubt sidewalks are very important.
Yes, and hopefully we are going to be looking into sidewalks also. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. Anyone else? Yes.
Good evening, Council. Tom Crone, Gloucester Township. I have a couple of things. If my time expires, I'll sit down and let somebody else speak, and we can recycle if need be. Let's go back to the walk-on real quick. My concern is it was delivered to the administration in May. It hits your desk for the first time, according to Mr. Cardis, and I believe Mr. Bianchini, you agreed that it was spoken about at your executive session, which would be the beginning of this month. Okay. How is it that something that's been in the township since May has to be rushed through with no transparency, no openness, no honesty at the last minute? You talked about it. Now, I don't want to address this to Mr. Carlemere. We pay you a salary as the taxpayers of Gloucester Township. And you're here in this building, you have an office upstairs, you have staff. How is it, this is a very pointed question, and please forgive me if it sounds very pointed. How is it that since May, it had to be rushed through tonight?
Well, it was discussed at the work agenda. And that's at the work agenda when it was put on for the approval this month's meetings. Okay? And I said in the beginning that it didn't make tonight's agenda because I didn't do the resolution, it just got missed, in time to give it to the clerk and put it on the agenda. So Mr. Cardis called me this evening around 5:30 and said he didn't see it on the agenda. And I said, well, look, I have the information not from the work agenda meeting, but gathered it after the meeting. So I can do a resolution if there's a need to put it on. And it was expressed as a need to put it on, and I understood that. So I did the resolution tonight, brought it into the clerk's office, gave it to the clerk probably around 20 after 7, and said, this has to be an add-on. Can you make copies to circulate it to the council? And I'll explain to council that it was missed. It was a missed item, but there was transparency. It's not improper.
I disagree,
There
but-
was discussion, and there was open discussion of it by the public that were present. There wasn't participation, if I recall.
Well, then I guess
There
at this
was
point, not to
members-
interrupt you, just real quick.
There were members of council, and everyone was aware of what type of program that it was going to be, that it's a Atlantic Electric installation, Atlantic City Electric, and it's lighting selected through the township, and there's no procurement competition because it's only Atlantic City Electric that can do it. So I said, let's put it on and introduce it at tonight's meeting.
And I understand that, and that's all fine and good, and that's a very good excuse, and it's a very good reason.
It's not an excuse.
Well, I don't want to back and forth on the language. It's my opinion that it's an excuse.
It was not an excuse. There was transparency and an open discussion.
That's
on it.
your opinion, Mr. Carlemere. My opinion is that it was not as transparent as it should have been, and it's an excuse. Was there another meeting in July besides the workshop meeting?
Correct.
Okay, so why wasn't it on that?
Because it wasn't going to be scheduled for that meeting because I didn't have the backup information. When I got the backup information, it was scheduled for this meeting.
Okay, and that's all fine, but it's been sitting in the mayor's office or in Mr. Cardis's office since May. And then all of a sudden, here we are at the end of July, we must get this done. We absolutely must get this done. And not one member of my council seems to have an issue with that.
Because it
And
was
that's,
discussed at the work agenda meeting.
I understand that, but for those of us who can't get here to every single meeting, and I come to a lot of meetings, and there's nobody in this room that can deny that, and I attend meetings in other towns, part of what I do, and I attend meetings in other counties, okay? I can't be everywhere at once, but this is where I live. This is the most important town to me, all right? Your workshop meetings are not put up on the live feed. Maybe, for a little extra layer of transparency, maybe you should do that. As a matter of fact, as another layer of transparency, maybe the planning board meetings should be also live streamed. All it does, you have to flick a switch. Mr. Cardis goes in the room, he flicks the switch, it goes on, and it goes out to the world. Because the planning board meeting where the rehab facility was discussed last week or so, again, couldn't be there because of another engagement, would have been nice to have gone back and looked at it and seen what happens. People would like to know. Not everybody, okay? We're not going to say that there's going to be 10,000 people sitting at home tonight watching what goes on. But if there's 3 or 4 people, and those 3 or 4 people have a little bit more knowledge, isn't that what this is supposed to be about? An open, honest government. A smaller, more accountable government. So when I say that my members that represent me in our system seem to be a little less upset, I hold fast to that. For if I were sitting up there and someone tried to push something through, I would say, hang on, stop, because we represent the people. And the people, even if there are 7 or 8 people out here, these are the 7 or 8 people that come on a regular basis and care. And behind that 7 or 8 people, for each person, there's another 10 or 15 people that they go back and talk to. So really, there are dozens of people that want to know. And you guys, it's kind of nonchalant, and I take a little offense to it. But I just missed it, it's no big deal. If I miss something that's that important at work, they may ask me not to come back the next day. If I mess up on a job and the client that we work for contacts my boss and says, well, what the heck happened here? I might lose my job. But with impunity, you sit there and tell me, it was just missed. I don't buy it. I don't buy it from my children when they tell me why they didn't do what I asked them to do. And I sure as heck am not going to buy it from my government. Now, I may not be able to go and give Mitch McConnell an in-person tongue lashing, so maybe you're going to hear about it, because my own party right now isn't being transparent and honest. But you guys are right here. That's the beauty of our system. It's open to everyone, whether they come here or not. It's open to everyone, and it wasn't right what you did tonight. You could have walked in, because I've seen walk-ons happen before. You could have said at the very beginning, hey, hang on, gang. We got a walk-on for tonight. Something happened. There was an issue. The printer was broken. This was broken. I had a broken leg. My cat died. Whatever the situation could have been. And you could have said up front, hey, we have this. And as the one nice lady said, what's the point? You already voted on it. Maybe people would have got up and said, hey, this is a really good idea. I don't think it is, but someone would have said that. Isn't the county doing the same silliness with the lights? $800,000 worth of lights to save $100,000? I'm asking you, does anyone know? Because it's real.
I don't know.
Okay. The county freeloaders are doing the same exact project on a countywide basis. Okay? And I find it incredulous that our very own newly minted Mrs. Mayor is a freeloader. I'm sorry, freeholder. It's a Freudian slip. You guys should know this. And if you don't know it, you shouldn't be sitting there. It's basic common knowledge. It's in the newspaper. I didn't have to ferret it out someplace and find it. It's in the newspaper. So it's already being done. Atlantic City Electric's already doing this on a countywide basis. And to sit there and either tell me you didn't know about it, you don't care about it, oh, we got to get this done right away, is wrong. And it's not the kind of government that we deserve. Our taxes are too high, our services are too low, and our government doesn't seem to care as much as they should. I missed it. It'll get done. Because it's business as usual. You've been here for too long, a lot of you. It's just a rote type of thing, and everything gets missed because, well, I'll get to it. The other thing I'd like to speak about is the AstroTurf. If you don't mind, I've gone over my time, and I do apologize. Point blank question. At the last meeting, my understanding was it was supposed to be two soccer fields over at Peter Cheeseman Park, or Community Park, whatever we're called. 2 fields. Now you're talking about football fields.
No, there's
And this field.
Two fields.
Okay.
One is a football field, one is a soccer field.
Okay.
They're side by side.
So there's only 2 fields being done.
Correct, and there is also pricing that if it comes under budget, we could add additional fields if necessary.
Well, what does that mean, we could add additional fields? How much is this going to cost me and my family?
That's why we're looking at this and trying to get all the information before any decisions made to determine if it's a cost benefit to the residents and to the township.
Now I know in a town like this, people talk, people go out, there's barbecues, there's fundraising events, there's things, people see each other. Could it have been possible, I mean, my son plays sports, and Mr. Pinkini, you and I have run into each other at many events when our children were doing indoor drumline and marching band and stuff like that. Very active. So you see a lot of parents, you do talk to a lot of parents. So I'm having a conversation with a parent who's involved in the sports programs. He's exuberant beyond belief that there's a $10 million project in the works for AstroTurf. That's the same look I gave him, Mr. Bianchini. Now, this is a reasonable man that gets up every day and he goes to a job and he comes home and he provides for his family. He's not a kook. He didn't pull it out of thin air. Where on earth did he hear something like that? Could it possibly be, I don't know, it's an election year and some things were floated around? You never know how those things happen.
I doubt that there was anybody here or anywhere else that said a $10 million project.
Hey, it could be whispered down the
It
lane.
could
I
be
understand
people
that.
that may have made a mistake and talked about it, but it was never discussed here for $10 million, and it hasn't been discussed in council or anywhere else.
So you're going to tell me here, and in all honesty, on the 27th of July, the year of our Lord 2015, I am not going to get stuck with it. Well, let me rephrase that because this is a bond. My children and grandchildren will not get stuck with $10 million worth of AstroTurf.
We haven't got any prices, but I can tell you, there's been no talk of $10 million.
I am
Even if
very glad to hear
we
that.
said we take 4 fields, we're estimating about $600,000 to $700,000 per field. So I don't know where you got 10 million out of that. That's 22.4 for 4 fields.
But again, I come to you as the keepers of the knowledge, and I want to extract as much knowledge from you as possible. Because if I don't ask the question, nobody will. Obviously, this person is misinformed, but he got it from someplace else. Yeah, I guess these things, it happens. The third thing. We all know that what we do is political. Government derives from politics. There's a Democrat and the Republican Party, and they're independents, and they're all many other people. Once again, and since I've moved to New Jersey, and it drives my wife crazy, it's like every year's an election year. I say, yep, every year's an election year. Pennsylvania, you get here every 2 years or whatever it is, and she's still getting used to it after almost 15 years. Every year there's somebody running for something. So here we are running again. And there's a group of people that would like to replace the existing group of people, which is how our system works. Every so many years people say, I don't like what's going on, I'd like to step up, I think I can do a better job. The beauty of our system, okay? During the course of campaigns, things are said, people do things, people act the fool, and these things happen. I want to bring to your attention, and I want to shift gears because this is now an official conversation I'm having now as an official representative of not only the Gloucester Township GOP, but the Camden County GOP as their spokesperson. There was an unwholesome and unsavory incident this past Friday night that involved, unfortunately, some council candidates, staff people, operatives, or whomever they happen to be, representatives of, unfortunately, Mr. Mercado's re-election bid.
Can I ask you a question?
You may.
Is this government related?
It absolutely
It's
is.
not government related.
Well, I have the floor, and I can speak about anything I like.
You're going over your time, Mr. Crowe.
I have, and if the president would like to escort me off, then the president's going to have to escort me off.
Or I can make a motion to close the public.
You could very well do that, and that would be very petulant of you to do, but have at it, Mr. Mercado.
I'll make a motion.
Please, just 1 second.
Because you don't want to hear from the people.
Tom, we can have a discussion in the parking lot if you like,
We can,
or afterwards.
if you like,
This is not government
but we're going to
related.
do this on the record.
I'll make a
No, I don't
motion.
believe Mr. Mercado just asked me to fight. He asked me to go out and talk.
There's a motion on the floor, Mr. President, to close the public portion.
There's a motion on the floor to close the public portion. Do we have a second?
I'm asking, is it appropriate that we have that? Is it appropriate? Okay. I agree with Mr. Mercado that the public portion should be closed, so I second it. But may I ask a question? Is it appropriate? Can that lawfully be done? That's my question. Close the public, yes.
Council can vote to close the public portion. Council runs the meeting. There's a motion and a second, and that motion is the decision of the council president and voting whether the meeting continues to the public or closes it. The issue seems to be the topic that the speaker is speaking on. I can comment on that as far as not being governmental, being more political. This is not a forum.
I'll tell you what, hang on 1 second. Hang on, just let me, no, 1 second, because I'm going to walk away. And I want to stop this. But I want it on the record.
Mr. Crowe, I asked you if I could say something, and you would not let me interrupt. You would not let me say a word, yet we gave you 10 minutes of the thing. So would you do us a favor?
Well, I'd like
Allow us have
to,
dialogue.
you didn't give me anything. I, as a citizen, have the right of redress of grievance. And we're going to end, you know what? I understand that. We're going to end this because you don't want to hear what the public has to say. We're going to go ahead and vote that you don't want to have to say. But that's, had the vote.
We will come back to you. You may proceed.
My concern is really that the topic the gentleman has gone into is purely political. And I think that a more workable solution is to stop the political
ask this, Mr. Crown.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what the governmental part of your discussion is for?
That Mr. Mercado is a member of the council. He is also an administrator in the school district. His running mate is an administrator in the school district. His other running mate is...
His running mates are not part of this government.
I understand that, so we'll leave it,
let's just
and it's
wrap
Mrs.
it
Trotto
up.
as well, but she's fortunately for her on vacation. But that's how it ties into government. He is a member of the government currently. He is a sitting council member. That is how it relates directly to government.
He's doing something, was he doing something that hindered the governmental process?
Well, it's the same difference. Let me say this to you. It's the same difference, and I don't mean to this is not true. This is actual, for this conversation. Mr. Mercado is involved in a criminal offense, and you're not, for the record. He's involved in a criminal offense. We bring it up.
Excuse me.
All right, then he's involved in a personal matter.
So Tom,
That's so.
It's the same difference.
No.
Tom, what is it that is?
Just like the comment.
We have a first and a second on it.
Just like the comment you said when Mr. Carlemere was engaged in dishonesty.
And this was
Yes,
dishonest.
you did. You said that initially.
I have an opinion, and I'm entitled to it. You may not like my opinion, Mr. Hutchison, but I am darn right well entitled to it, and that's the problem you have, is you don't want anybody else to have an opinion besides what you have.
I listened to your
All right, we're going to end this right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because we have it first and a second on the thing. I've asked you to tell me what governmental purpose.
Well, I believe I did, and then I was interrupted by
But
saying
you
it wasn't
said
good
Mr.
enough.
Mercado, when he was campaigning, that has nothing to do with us here governing this town. What has he done that is going to hinder him governing or us governing this town?
Well, I'm just bringing up that, you know what, there needs to be a little bit of fairness that goes on their way, and people treating people with a little bit more respect.
So, Mr.
You give respect, and then you get respect.
I understand, Mr. Crowe.
You call
But
Mrs. Mayor a freeloader.
respect.
Right.
All you do is comment. You don't contribute to anything in this town, Mr. Crowe. That's all you do.
Really?
You come up here with your civic lessons every week, you pontificate, and quite frankly, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Let's close the public portion.
You feel better after that? Make you feel better?
Maybe you should walk a little more
That's enough.
instead of spending your time here talking about what we're doing, because I'm concentrating on other things. Go out in our neighborhoods, knock on doors, do something.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Let's vote on it, please. Is there any question on the motion from Mr. Mercado that was seconded by Mr. Hutchinson?
Just for clarification, close the whole public portion?
Yes.
I don't think that's right. I have something I want to say.
Mr. Hutchison?
Yes.
Mrs. Winters?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Mercado?
Yes.
Mr. Lee?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Have a nice night.
We now have a polling of directors and council, please.
Mr. Lechner?
I have nothing to report.
Chief Earl?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Carlemere?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cantwell?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Cardis?
Nothing to report.
Mr. Hutchison?
I'd like to say something. We sit here and we listen to 10 minutes of opinions and slanderous comments by certain individuals. I accept opinions, but for someone who says that they come to a lot of meetings, yet I only see him right before the elections, okay? I disagree with some of the words you use, such as dishonesty and the usage of a council person's name, and in the same sentence mentioning criminal action. Very irresponsible to say that. And I respect you in our conversations, but I think you take it too far. Thank you very much.
Mrs. Winters? We'll give a little bit on that.
Thank you for coming out this evening. National Night Out is August 4th. So there are 35, 40 parties throughout the district, throughout the town. And on August 6th, there's a movie night in the park, Big Hero 6. Thank you for coming out. Have a good evening.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for attending tonight's meeting. You know, I sit here and I sat here for 14 out of my 16 years on council. And I struggle a lot of times with with a lot of people who think I should go 100% by that clock, who think I should close everything off quicker, and I believe everyone has a right to make a statement here. However, we need to make respectful statements. Whether you like or dislike who's in office, I would never call the governor anything other than governor. To call a freeholder a freeloader because you may not like her, that's fine. You don't have to like her, but you should be setting an example and giving respect. And that, you know, I struggle every time here, and I've been given applause about how I let people talk. We're entering, as I always call it, and my colleague always talks about it with me, silly season. And we're coming into silly season because everybody wants to be silly, trying to one-up everybody. I'm not going to allow political talk to continue here. If it has something to do with government, I will allow it. I've never been one to hold to the clock, and I won't hold it unless it's not going to be proper. So I'm setting it now. I'm telling the public now. If you're not going to be up here and be respectful to others, like you were taught as a child, I am sure, then I'm not going to let you to continue to talk up here. That is not the way I want to do it, but I'm also not going to have disrespect going on. Okay, that was disrespectful, Tom, and I think you would agree. It may be your opinion, but it's disrespectful. I disagree 100% with the governor, but I would never call him, and I despise people that call him other names other than Governor Christie. But you can come up here and you want to come up here, and others have come up here and continue to bash. That is wrong. We will not have it. We will have civil residents coming up talking about government. And if you want to talk politics, you can do it outside here, not in here. So I'm asking everybody to cooperate with me and to move forward and do the politics outside here. Go door to door, whatever you need to do. But do not bring it in here, and do not be disrespectful to sitting folks that are sitting in those seats. If you don't like them, don't vote for them. That's what you have, and that's your right. So I'm asking us to do that, and I'm asking council to also let people talk, let people have their moments, and let us do this in a civil manner. I'm also going to ask that at this point, no walk-on resolutions should come here without being posted. If it's not posted, I am not going to put it up. That's what I'm asking us not to do. We can discuss it at the next workshop, but that should not happen and will not happen as long as I'm sitting up here. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you all.